What's the creepiest unsolved mystery? Andrew Goston, smart boy who had a perfect attendance record, skips school to go to a train station to buy a one-way ticket to King's Cross in London on his own. As soon as he leaves the station, he seemingly vanishes in an area crawling with CCTV cameras. None of the CCTV cameras in the entirety of London had saved footage of him, as the police waited 2 weeks before asking local businesses if there was any footage of him saved, and there's no evidence of him ever leaving the city. There's theories he was groomed or got snatched off the street, but that's pretty much impossible to do in such a busy area. He had a PSP on him when he disappeared, but Sony confirmed no PSN account had ever been made on his account. He had no access to the internet at home, and didn't even have a mobile phone. Strangely, he left the charger for the PSP at home, suggesting he possibly intended to come back. None of the CCTV cameras in the entirety of London get footage of him, and there's no evidence of him ever leaving the city. Actually, it's worse. The police waited more than 2 weeks before trying to see if any of the local businesses' CCTV had picked him up. Unfortunately, most places don't keep more than 2 weeks worth of footage. Delphi Bridge murders. 2 preteen girls were murdered near a abandoned train bridge in Indiana, 2017. One girl got audio and video of the suspect walking toward them 2 years later, and Len is still taking tips from the public. It's surprising there hasn't been progress. It makes me think it was just a drifter passing through. The little knowledge I have of the case, it seems they have a suspect, but don't have enough evidence to charge at this stage. The police seem to be keeping a lot out of the media, which is good. I reckon they'll solve it at some stage. Times I wish Dexter Morgan was real. My favorite is probably John Lang's case. Basically, a local activist posts regularly about the Fresno Police Department and about how they were plotting against him. People thought he was crazy until he set up a camera that recorded lots of weird shit, including a bunch of cops parking across the street from his house staring at him in the middle of the night, and a van pulling up with a large camera that people theorized took thermal pictures through walls to see if anyone was inside. He posted that weekend the police was going to murder him and accurately predicted his death. The police released a report saying that he was stabbed repeatedly in the back, and then recanted, saying it was supposedly a suicide of a crazy man. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't after you. Gotta find a way. Just what happened to MH370? A massive airliner en route from one heavily populated city to another suddenly hangs a hard left before quietly disappearing from radar. No distress signal, no emergency call, just gone. Only one piece of debris ever found, washed up on a beach thousands of miles away. What the hell happened? All the plane crashes that have happened at sea left huge debris fields. Like not just a flap here and pieces there, you can actually see the debris field from satellites. MH370, almost zero trace whatsoever. A common theory is that the pilot did it as a grand form of suicide. That isn't a theory, just speculation with no evidence, based on a book by a convicted fraudster. Most of the authorities have said that there is nothing to support the belief that it was pilot suicide. In the 90s in Northern California, we had some cows get completely mutilated with laser-like cuts, and their sex organs were cut out. Completely unsolved. Everyone says it was aliens. Actually, I think this was mostly media hysteria. The way the animals were found weren't particularly unusual. Maggots tend to eat away at flesh very neatly. Don't really have a source, but I have a vague memory of watching a documentary ages ago. The one where the woman was acting weird in a elevator looking around, and then just kind of disappeared and got found in a water tank on top of the hotel. Can't remember her name, but it's pretty odd. Elisa Lam. I remember listening to a podcast that had a really good explanation. She was seen on camera at the hotel with 2 unidentified individuals. I think it was something about drugs. I'll have to give it a listen again. You're forgetting the most up part. Guests at the hotel started complaining about the tap water having a foul smell. That's when staff took a look in the water cistern on the roof and found poor Elisa Lam's bloated and decaying corpse. Guests at the hotel had been brushing their teeth and washing their bodies in her stinking remains. The Sabotaged family murders. The killer stayed in their house for a while after the murders, as if nothing had happened. He allegedly made himself some tea, took a nap, used their computer for a bit, and helped himself to some of their ice cream. I feel like someone who is that comfortable being in a house with people he just murdered has done it before and will probably continue as long as they are not caught. The house still stands. It's got a tarp over it now, but the crazy thing is that there is a kids playground right next to it in a neighborhood where all the houses are torn down, except the one. Got any scary stories? Leave it in comments below.